Hello. Welcome in to another edition of the Exit 52 podcast. It's the Exit 52 podcast 1.0 with
the OG, the Barstool Baltimore or whatever Barstool DMV podcast.
I think it was
nobody watching this even has a clue what we're talking about when we say that.
No, nobody has a clue. But
Eric
as always,
and I did a podcast, circa 2015, where we had Trey Mancini on, we had
Trent,
other guests.
Trent.
We had Trent to talk about the Masters before Foreplay podcast even existed.
I
think we had Nate at some point.
I think that may have been it.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't know. He may not have even existed in the sense of him being an actual Barstool person at that point. He may have just been a fanboy at that point.
I think he was. I think you're right on that. I think so. But again, we are back on a Thursday night, presented by Jimmy's Famous Seafood as always. After what can only be described as, it was a massive series win, 3 out of 4 against the Yankees, the big bad Yankees, who had scored like 30 runs in their last 2 games against Milwaukee before heading into Baltimore. And the Orioles the teams were going in like opposite directions. The Orioles had lost 2 out of 3 to Oakland, and their bullpen was just kind of dismantled. Didn't know what was going to happen, if Kimbrel was going to go on the IL, what they were going to do, who's going to close. The weather was getting warmer, and that's what worried me, was like, oh man, the Yankees just scored 30 runs in their game. Now it's going to be 85 all week. And, Aaron Judge has been slumping, and that's kind of the perfect slump buster for him. And 1 for 13 later, those have they 3 out of 4 from the Yankees, and sitting a game up in the standings. And again, it's massive with only 4 series. You went out and you won 3 in the first one. So you were there today at the ballpark. We'll start with today's game, but tell us, I guess, give us a rundown. What was the atmosphere like? Motivation on the win today?
Honestly, the environment was as good as I can ever think of for a weekday, like regular season game, especially for one that's still during the school year. I mean, the crowd was good. I don't know what the number was. It was probably 25,000 or so. Your typical upper deck corners were completely empty, but the lower bowl was like completely filled, and that stretched around the foul poles, really. Never really got a chance where I was sitting to like look up at what the upper deck did look like behind home plate, but the energy was really high. Obviously, there's a lot of Yankees fans that come into the ballpark. They always do. There was an annoying amount of noise every time they did something positive, but man, I went over there with the idea that it was going to be pretty, sleepy, just because those weekday day games the getaway day games can be like that. And I thought I'd do a couple work calls, just kind of sit out in the seats by myself for 10 minutes at a time and knock out a couple work calls. And I had to go out to the picnic area to even have a chance at it. And even then, Santander hits that bomb out to center field and the fireworks go off. And it's like, holy shit, this is, I don't know if I'll be doing that again. I think that says a lot about where this Orioles team is, not just within the season, but within the trajectory of the franchise. Like, I could have done that at a game a couple years ago easily with no issues whatsoever, but now it's not even a thing. And man, the concession lines were all packed. And I want to make a point too, like they've really improved the pacing with a lot of the cashless and the processes, which I think I made a point of last year. I was like, hey, they got to figure some things out here to support the crowd that's starting to show up at these games. I got into one of those lines where the wraparound is, okay, you've got the line that's along where you get the food, and then back around and then back around. And I was in and out in like 3 minutes. I mean, it was the kind of line where it's like, oh, fuck this. I'm just going to wait until the 5th or 6th inning when everything dies down and I'll come back then. No, I just said, fuck it. I'm just going to go for it. And it moved quick. But anyways, the energy was great. The crowd was great. The game was awesome. And today's game was really the first time either of these two teams blinked. What was it? A 5-run inning that we popped off there. This was good baseball, man. Low scoring, competitive baseball. This is what playoff baseball looks like. The first couple scores of the game or the series, 2-0, 4-2, 2-0. And that game was kind of going back and forth today with the solo home runs. And then finally the wheels came off for the Yankees there. You try to barehand a double play ball, comedy of errors, a couple other things going on that inning, and it just got away from him. So huge series win, exactly what the doctor ordered after a disastrous series loss at home against Oakland. Man, the pitching. I feel like that's the big theme here is, 8 runs given up total in a 4-game series, and not just to any lineup, but one that's like a pretty formidable lineup. There's some pretty good bats in there, and there's some guys who had some pretty good series there. I mean, Soto was, as much as he was a big point of contention, and the dude fucking hits, man. He fucking hits. He's obnoxious as shit. I've said it for years that he's a freak. And it was a real shame to see him hit a 29 out of 30 ball today.
Yeah, that was great. That was just icing on the cake. Yeah. I mean, you said it, pitching. It was all pitching. I was like trying to decide, like my 3 stars, like who do you give it to? I mean, it just the pitching all around, bullpen, right? The starters. I mean, it started with Grayson on Monday, and this was kind of like we saw it last year and like 2 years ago, where it's kind of just like that, you pass the baton, and the pitching is always contagious. That's what they've always said. But again, it started Monday with Grayson, and then obviously we get the news that he's going on the IL. But again, I mean, what did he go? He went 5 2/3, I think. 3 Ks, 3 walks. Not his best stuff, but again, I mean, he did enough to keep the Orioles in the game. Obviously, you got Gunnar going yard to start off the day that day, and then again, they were able to add one more, and they only had 4 hits that game, and the Yankees had 7, but couldn't put up any runs. And then again, that was the first kind of like, well, what are we going to do with the bullpen? How are we going to close this thing out? And Danny Coulombe came in, and they used all their big guns that night, and it was like, all right, well, Cano pitched, no Kimbrel, so Coulombe went, and then Tuesday came, and it was like, all right, well, you kind of need Dean to go like 7, maybe 8, which would be great. Obviously, we didn't really know what he was going to do, but they were able to, again, do that one, get that one, and what did Kramer go? 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 4 Ks. He gave up the 2 home runs. The home run by Soto, we'll tip my cap. That was pissed on. That ball is about as far as you've seen at Camden Yards. The stare, whatever. I didn't really have a problem with it. I'm in the camp of, it's hard to hit a baseball. It's hard to hit it even farther. So if you can hit it, do it, celebrate. I thought his quotes after were the biggest, just lamest thing you could ever do.
Loser ball kind of quotes.
Oh, just that's like, I mean, like get on a soapbox, but like Derek Jeter doesn't make those quotes. Like Aaron Judge doesn't say those quotes. That's loser shit. Like, I know.
Correct.
Hope you didn't like it. It's like, dude, you lost. Like you
clown car stuff, and I don't think that happens with Steinbrenner up in the
no
with George. That wouldn't happen under George's regime.
Booney's letting him run wild, but again, Kramer was awesome. Again, on a night where you needed him to go 7 or 8, and he did it. Aiken came in for 2/3 of an inning, and then my number one guy here, Jacob Webb, who I kind of cast off a couple of weeks ago. He came in and just absolutely demolished Aaron Judge, Stanton, Rizzo, and he closed the door that night on him. He came an inning in the third, 3 Ks, and I don't think he blinked once. Like his post-game interview, he was like hyped up. He wanted to go pitch another inning or 2. He was into it. And again, at that point, you take the first 2, you're kind of like, anything else from here is kind of just found money. Like we went into the series pretty much being like, if they could take 2 out of 2, if they could just split, I think we would have all been very okay with that. I think we would have been fine with a split, especially how the weekend went with Oakland and the bullpen and, all that. And then obviously the game on Wednesday, Corbin Burns, again, did his kind of Corbin Burns thing. What did he do? 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, gave up a home run. And that was the difference. He gave up, maybe the cheapest home run you can give up in Camden Yards. Like
I was on the flag court for that. And I was trying to peel my head around where the people that were in my area just to see what the heck was going on. And it was a duck hook in every sense of the word. If you've been out on a golf course and seen one of these things, the ball just snapped hooked. It just hit kind of that apex and just turned over. And if that foul pole's, maybe a couple feet further back. It's just veering wide of it. I haven't even seen the replay of it. Like it was such a bizarre, and there was a pause, and I didn't even know what happened, but I guess they had a conversation and they just kind of got the jogging. But as you were talking there, I was just like, I have all the 4 box scores here on a tab, and I was just like going across and adding up statistics, and I'm sure this is on Twitter already, but I just didn't see it. The bullpen in this series, 12 2/3 innings, 1 run allowed, 5 hits, 1 walk. Incredible. And a really good collection of guys. Like Perez is back, had some work. Cano had a good showing there on Monday. Like Danny C's like in there doing good work. Keegan Aiken's the one who gave up the run. But altogether, like, man, that's just a class. It was a clinical effort by the bullpen here. You can't ask for more.
And I'll give him a shout out too. Mike Baumann last night, big 2 innings, struck out 1, but that was maybe the best he's looked. And again, we're at the point we saw Ramirez DFA today to bring up Bradish, but we're getting to the point where these moves are going to start happening. Mike Baumann doesn't have a roster move left, so if something else needs, if there's a move that needs to be made, he very well may be the guy that goes out. And obviously we have Bradish and Means back now, so those moves are kind of done and safe. But again, he's a guy who's kind of pitching for his job. People have always asked that, but I thought he was awesome last night. But like you said, the bullpen in total to come into it again, the only thing we talked about coming into the series was who's going to close, what are we going to do, how are we going to get the last 6, 7, 8 outs of this game. And every game they showed up and they delivered, and that's massive, and that can't be understated how big they were. Also, by the way, 27,000 today, which I thought was it's a great number.
Out.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really good number for a getaway day game during school year.
Yeah. Again, middle of the week. Like again, great weather. I mean, if you could have made it out there today, it's the perfect game too. But here you go too.
Some sunburn out there.
I've seen multiple tweets about sunburn going around, but this is from our friend. Of course you did. Matt Wayrich. Yankees scored just 6 runs in 4 games against the Orioles this week. That's the fewest runs they've scored in any 4-game span so far this season. Again, they're 20-11 sitting in sole place. They're sole possession of first place now. So it's just you could not have really gotten off to a better start against them. I think they're what are they 7-2? No, 6-2. I guess now in the division. They lost one to Boston and then one to the Yankees this week, I believe.
They swept Boston.
They sweep. Oh yeah. So okay. So yeah. Then they're 7-1, right? No, 6-1. Math
6-1. 6-1.
Yeah, and then again, Alex Barrett here. 16 straight series versus the AL East without losing a series, which is, that's incredible when you think back on that and just the run that they've been on for over a year now, a year and a half, close to. So we're coming up on 2 years of Adley, and it's just they really have not shown any, any signs of like slowing down or stopping at any point. So today, and Bradish, we have to talk about Bradish, how good he was today.
He was sharp. Yeah. I wish it was one of those starts where you wish that he was up to kind of full strength where he could go deeper. Because the way he was throwing was such that would lead itself to go 100 pitches and maybe get through 6 innings. But he couldn't get the win because of it. That sucks. That's bullshit. Mm-hmm. Aiken is the only guy in the bullpen who gave up a run the entire series, and he got the win today. Make that make sense.
That's just baseball. That's baseball.
Well, I think when the starter doesn't get to 5 innings, I think the rule is they can decide who gets the win in the bullpen. It doesn't necessarily have to be the next person, and I'm not sure why it wouldn't be Jacob Webb with 3 Ks and 1 1/3. But anyways,
we'll have to do the official score for that. But no, I was very high on. I was pumped to watch Bradish do that, and you kind of think like when I thought that he was going to get out of the first with 9 pitches and he got the ground out from Judge, I was like, oh, we're cruising today. And then I had it on mute, and then I see them. He comes over to have them check his hands, and they kind of put the ball back in his glove, and you could see them like, what are we doing? And then they show the replay, and you're like, all right, here we go. And then Rizzo gets hit on the knee, like barely tapped. I don't know if you saw Hyde's comments on it.
His knee, yeah, I didn't see the comments, but I saw the replays in the stadium. His knee just kind of nudging out there. Is already hanging out over the plate enough as it is. It's like, come on, man. And then the thing about the interference too is like, far more times than not, if you're causing batter interference, it's not on the catcher, it's on the hitter, because you took an awkward swing at something and came around it, and your bat head is kind of out here. And I don't know how to kind of fix that solution in a way, but just, I don't know. That rule has flaws. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, I think he threw another 14 pitches after that, and that pretty much cost him the win. You know, you would think that if he gets out of the inning on 9 pitches, then, you know, he can probably cruise for another inning, or he could at least, I think Hyde would have left him in to at least get that other out, the next out. But I was very happy with how he pitched. After every pitch, I was watching his arm to see if he was, you know, shaking it or just look anything like that, to like pause for concern, being like, oh God, what's going to happen? I still can't believe he threw in a major league game 5 months after, you know, they were like, oh, by the way, he's just a small tear in his UCL. So it's crazy. And again, he was awesome.
Not even 2.5 months, dude.
Yeah. Well, I know it was like middle of January.
Like Feb 15, right? It was like pretty much when pitchers and catchers reported.
I think it happened earlier. I think it was reported first week of February or whenever it was. But again, 4 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 5 Ks, and his stuff looked nasty. Like he was, I don't know if you could see from there, but it was darting and diving all over. So that was awesome.
He looked like his usual self. And that seems like it could be the rare win for PRP injections.
Yeah. Yeah, it's him. I think Zach Gallen
on the board. Yeah, they don't put many up on the board, but this was a rare win for PRP.
Yeah, Tanaka did it too, but again, then I mean, it was the big M boys. It was Mateo, Mountcastle, McKenna. I mean, they all hit bombs today. The Mountcastle really went down to get it. That ball was on a golf tee. Mateo's ball was demolished. I mean, that ball was 425 feet over the wall. That ball was killed. And then good to see everyone's old friend Ryan McKenna. Everybody bitched and complained when they saw him in the lineup today. And again, he kind of shut them up, and you know, he smoked that first ball too. I think the first ball was like 108 off the bat, right at Verdugo and left. But again, that was pretty much the only offense they needed. I had no clue how Jordan Westburg got a triple on that ball. That you know, he smoked it, but he's just a ball player.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of chatter about that, but when that ball was hit, I was like, ooh, like maybe he's going to score from second, and like maybe we'll get this guy over to third. And I mean, obviously the big error there is the double play ball, but bad angle.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, you know, I was like in that behind home plate view. I will say the wind was blowing out today, like directly towards that gap. So that one may have just like got up a little bit and just took it off with the jet stream. And next thing you know, you take a bad angle on it and it gets to the wall, and there you have a triple. But
yeah. Again, I mean, he runs hard anyways. And yeah, me Hermano, it's awesome to see. I think we found the perfect role for Jorge Mateo. I think this is it. You know, he'll play against lefties. Obviously a speedy base stealer, pinch runner off the bench. And, you know, again, if you start him twice a week, I think this is honestly like a perfect role for him. And he's going to win you speed. And, you know, he played awesome today. So that was fun to see.
His OPS is 822, and that only factors the speed in as much as him stretching a single to a double and a double and a triple. And once he's on the base paths, that's a whole nother ball game too. So I know he's not drawing many walks, but yeah, I mean that's plus. That's a dangerous 822. If he's getting on base at that clip and hitting doubles and triples like that and dropping the bomb the way he did today, like that's big time.
You talked about it earlier. The Soto's triple. I got to give it to Kowser. I tip him my cap for effort. I think it was you or Spenny who was like, he was about 3 feet away and like a second short on that. It was a hell of an effort. I don't know if he was ever going to make the play. That would have been maybe the best catch in Camden Yards history if he did make it. But he had another 0 for today, and I don't think it's not a secret that he's slumping right now. He was 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts, still hitting 277 with a 929 OPS, which is crazy because again he's been cold for about pretty much the last week, the A's series and the Yankees. But
last 7 days, 3 of 20 with a double, 9 strikeouts in those 20 at bats. So not good. Yeah, but
no.
I think we might be starting to see what kind of guy he is. He's one of those Santander types where he'll carry you for a series or two, and then he's just kind of hole in the lineup. But I mean, baseball's a game of failure. If sometimes it's better to run hot and run cold than it is to just kind of, I don't know. We've got a nice balance of guys that seem to contribute, on a consistent basis. The way that Adley gets on base, the way he does, and he'll just have a nice quiet 1 for 3, 1 for 4, 2 for 5, and draw some walks along the way. And it's just very strong and steady. Like it kind of mitigates your risk, and then just the sense that we have enough of these guys that can run so hot and so cold that the odds of all of them running cold at one time is pretty low. Like we probably saw that against Texas last year, but more times than not, run it back. Like we're going to find the hot bats the way that they did and do some big things. So.
Yeah. And again, I mean, now we're looking up. Henderson was 0 for 4, 2 Ks. I don't think he did anything yesterday. But like you said, Rutschman 1 for 4. He had that double that kind of got everything started because then Matt hit him and it kind of from there. But Mountcastle 2 for 4. Again, he's hitting 290 with an 840 OPS. So he's consistently been arguably their second best player behind Gunnar all year. And then, it's like Adley is also hitting 310. So he's been awesome all year too. Santander had the hit. Again, you look up, Jordan Westburg has another 2 hits, 2 RBIs. I think someone said that he's on pace. I want to say it's like 27 home runs, like 30 stolen bases and 117 RBIs, which, I mean, that's an incredible season. Obviously, it's not going to, it's projections, but again, he's just hitting the cover off the ball. So we're seeing these guys. Some guys are hot, some guys are cold. Mullins is back to being cold now. He came in for McKenna late, but yeah, it was nobody this series. None of the bat really got going except for today, and that was kind of, besides the pitching, that was kind of what I took away from it. Was like they gutted out 3 of these wins. I mean, when was the last time they got a 2-0 win against the Yankees? That just doesn't happen in these ballparks and these teams, and they've been. So for them to kind of win these games like that, the first 2 games was encouraging to me because again, they got a lead and they kind of just stuck to it. So today was a little different. It's to have a laugh for every now and then. We don't have to worry about who's closing it out. But again, I mean, like you said, it's a game of runs and peaks and valleys, and some guys will be good, some guys will be bad, and we'll see them, the ebbs and flows of it kind of go from there. So.
Yeah, I mean, 2011, just big picture. It's, we hit that 30-game mark after Wednesday's loss, 19-11. Like, it's a real nice place to be at that benchmark. And, we go on the road here for 5, but are you really too intimidated by who we're going up against? Cincy, 3 at Cincy, 2 at Washington, and then a nice stretch of home games there for about 9. I look at that and there's no reason why we can't get to, pretty serious place here in terms of the standings. We got the 1-game lead, and this is an opportunity to start stacking a little bit and try to stretch out that lead a little bit. Just kind of open up the Yankees schedule just to get a sense of what they're at. But
yeah, they're playing Detroit next series against Detroit, who's playing better. They're not, just like the A's aren't the A's that we thought they would be. The Tigers are kind of surprising people.
Yeah, they play well. Houston, who's like just by the law of averages is bound to be playing much better here. I have to think so, right? I don't know. It's at least one way to look at it. And then at Tampa, at Minnie, like, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and again, I'm kind of looking at the standings now too. As of right now, I believe the Orioles have scored the most runs. No, never mind. The Dodgers overtook them. So they have the second most runs scored in baseball, plus 41 run differential, 12-7 at home, 8-4 away. And the big one that I'm looking at is against teams over 500, they're 14-5, which is, again, that's crazy that they basically played 2/3 of their games against teams above 500. But like the Yankees are 5-5, the Red Sox are 6-11, the Blue Jays are 8-11, the Rays are 4-8 against teams over 500. So they're the only team in the division above 500 against teams over 500. And again, it's by a significant margin. So they're playing well. They're just consistently. It's what they've done the last almost 2 years. Just 2 out of 3 win series. That's all they do, and that's how you build these leads, and that's how you kind of stay at the top of the pack in the AL East. So that's what they're doing right now. It's what they've done for 2 years.
Yeah, no, that's just kind of the ebbs and flows of a season. So I'm just excited to see where this thing goes. We got Irvin on the mound tomorrow. He's been good out there more times than not. He's had a couple rough ones, but keep stacking these W's, and everything's looking up. I'm looking again at the attendance. This was actually the most attended game of the series. Make that make sense.
Yeah, that's the only. I don't know. The only thing I could think is maybe it was the cheapest one because it was at 1 o'clock, and guys, you could get off work and go down there, or I don't know. I mean, a lot. Obviously,
all I'll say is it was worth it. It was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah,
it was a great day out there. Good baseball played. Boys brought the bats, put a bunch out of the yard. Got to see a return of a guy that, like you said, we kind of had written off, or at least I think it was kind of smart and maybe a little defensive mentally to say, hey, like, we know how this story ends, and maybe we were wrong. Maybe still trying to like protect ourselves from the idea that this is like, hey, he's just back and he's just going to shove here for the next 5-6 months, but looks good.
Yeah. Thought he looked really good. All right, so we'll touch on one last thing in the series. I think you said something earlier. I didn't know Juan Soto was that much of a clown coming into. I mean, he kind of like, I don't know if he was trying to start something, or maybe fire his guys up with the Kramer stuff. But like, if you've watched Dean Kramer for more than like a start, he's not a guy who's like, he's not animated at all out on the mound. He's kind of animated once he's in the dugout and he kind of shows it. But like, he's like, oh yeah, he had an issue with the shuffle. He liked the home run or whatever. He liked the home run. It's like, I watched that. I must have watched that a billion times. I was like, I didn't see a damn thing. Nobody said anything like, oh yeah, he said this or that. Like, that seemed to come out of nowhere. I don't know if he was trying to hype his guys up or start a rivalry or something. I thought that was way out of left field. I thought that was wild of Soto.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know he wasn't there terribly long, but in San Diego, there's a lot of clown behavior out there, just being honest, where maybe it got drowned out a little bit, but you kind of put those pinstripes on and you start behaving like that, I think you start to look like a real goofball. I mean, to your point, yeah, Booney's letting him run wild. I mean, shit, what was that last year? Garrett Cole complaining about the pregame ceremonies, throwing his routine off by 30 seconds or something ridiculous. Like, man, you gotta get control of the clubhouse, Booney. Gotta clean it up. It's unbecoming. It saddens me. It saddens me because the Yankees used to mean something, right? And now it's just, it's disgusting.
Again, like I had some guy in my mentions, who was like, like Monday, he's like, the Yankee fans were louder. And that's when I was like, like you guys used to win shit. You guys used to have parades. Like now you're saying like you lost the game, but you're saying like, yeah, but we were louder. Our cheers were louder. Like, all right, man. That Steinbrenner really is rolling over his grave. Yeah, like it's sad. It's sad to see.
I know. I know we haven't won shit, but they've won one championship in the last 22 years. 23, 22? So. Jeez, poor George.
How many last names did you see today?
Oh, two. I mean, in some ways not enough. Yeah, I mean, last night some guy cut us off in the beer line with the Judge jersey with the Judge written on there. I saw the rare, and this is spectacular, the rare road jersey with the name on the back, which is quite a spectacle. But man, what are we going to do with them?
I don't know. Those guys. But again, that'll kind of put a bow on the Yankee series. Again, 3 out of 4. Just cannot talk about enough how big that was. And then, like you said, now they head to Cincinnati, where Reed will be. He'll be at one of the games. Twice he's gotten a shout out on here. What do you say? Yeah, it's Irvin, Means,
Kramer,
and then Kramer.
Kramer's on the ESPN probables.
Yep. And then again, you said a 5-game road trip. It's kind of like a 3-game road trip because then they come home to DC. So theoretically,
we're throwing Burns and Bradish out there down in DC too. So the old umpire pass might be coming in handy down there.
Yeah, that may be one you want to head to. But again, theoretically they could sleep at home if they wanted to.
Well, I mean, a couple more things. I didn't really see what was being said, but the Yankees hitting coach getting tossed today. That was great. And then we didn't even touch on Cabrera and the home run that wasn't
6 out of 30.
6 out of 30. What a moment!
That was. Listen,
put the Titanic music on that.
I mean,
here's the thing too. If it used to be a home run, I'm just like looking at the geometry of the wall and where Cowser caught that ball. I think it's like right in that spot where he's bringing that back into the yard. Yeah, his timing as to when he got out to that ball, he's doing probably the 2 or 3 little steps before he goes up and gets it, and is probably not even a home run anyways. So
he's doing the back to the wall. Yeah, with his glove up, and I think he's bringing that back regardless. It may not have even.
Yeah, like a Statcast can say trajectory, it lands over the wall, but catch.
Yeah,
easy out.
Yeah, and again, it's been 3 years. It's been 3. This is the 3rd season of it. We can't continue to be surprised. I mean, again, Yankee Stadium, they changed their dimensions in 1948 or whatever it was, and again, I had him done BS, and it's you used to have monuments in center field. There are tombstones, there are headstones in center field. What are we talking about? Unsafe. It's again the crying and Mike did my tweet of the guy sent me the picture of the ball in the Orioles Authentic Story, which I think is one of the best moves ever. I thought that was hilarious.
Did anybody go and look? Mountcastle hit a ball last night opposite field that I couldn't see because of where I was on the flag court, but it looked like it was caught right up against the wall. Am I right on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was. He wasn't back up against it. It had room, but it looked like for a second I thought it had a chance to get out. It was.
I don't think I heard anyone say it would have been a home run at Yankee Stadium, but probably would have been.
There was some chirp about that, I think, and it was
more about them than us.
Pretty much. I couldn't believe the amount of complaining about it. It was 3 seasons ago. Why are we still doing it? In 2045, is Michael Kay going to be
here's another thing too is pitchers will pitch differently based on dimensions of ballparks. You'll be a little more comfortable going inside when the wall is further back. It's different pitching in Fenway Park than it is pitching here because of where the wall dimensions are. So you might not have gotten that same pitch if the wall was somewhere else. So what are we it's one of those things where it's we're just living in La La Land.
Yeah. That was just crying and tears just to have them. So whatever, poetic justice. Cabrera got his home run the next night. Congrats. That's awesome. He was on my bench in fantasy, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I hats off, all around. Do you have a dog of the series you want to give it to?
I'm going to give it to just Bradish for being back. That's just a good thing to celebrate. The bullpen as a whole is the obvious answer. You can just give it to the whole gang. So
someone was tweeting today, I forget who it is, but they're The Orioles really do run on vibes. Like they put Grayson, like the 2 day, like they put Grayson on the IL a couple of days ago. They lose that game. They send Jackson Holiday down the 1 day. They lose that game. You know, like they really seem to run on the vibes. And it was like, oh, nice. They're getting Bradish back, and the guys were pumped. And again, it seemed like they really do just kind of feed off of whatever is happening in the clubhouse. So it makes sense. Again, they're all they seem to just, they're one heartbeat, and they just kind of go that way. So I will give my dog of the series. I'll go Mountcastle. I thought he hit the ball hard. Again, even his flyouts last night, you know, which would have been home runs in Yankee Stadium. I thought he was good. He got it started today for them, and he's just constantly been a really good player this year. I think he's like a low key, like a sneaky all-star kind of guy. I would love to see him in a derby. I think he could have a lot of fun in a home run derby. Again, 2 for 4, some big hits today, kind of got it started. So that's my dog of the series, and I don't know if we have anything else unless there's anything on the mind of Banks.
No, I mean, there's like Westburg is just so steady, and he's good. He's a good baseball player. I don't know. We don't have to unpack that a whole ton, but he's just a good ball player.
He's a Buck guy. He seems like he would be a perfect Buck guy. Like put on this earth to play baseball.
He's what he thought Ryan Flaherty was.
I love me some Flash. We stand a Ryan Flaherty, but no, I agree there. But again, a mini road, and then they got real chance to do some damage when they come back from Washington. 3 against Arizona, 3 against Toronto, 3 against Seattle, and then they go to St. Louis, 4 at the White Sox. That is juicy. That's fun.
Yeah, I saw the Yankees have 3, I think, just before that, where I think the White Sox are just going to get bent over for a straight week by the AL East. But 4 is better than 3. We love that.
Yeah, I'll take that. But and then again, Boston, Tampa, and then June, they have a little bit of a gauntlet. We just started, so we're not ready to dissect June schedule yet. But again, I think that is it. I'm trying to think of what else happened. I don't know. Just a bunch of wins.
It's a
very solid ball club. Grayson's going to get a little rest. He'll be back. Don't worry. Everything will be good. And again, the boys are just going to keep rolling. So thank everyone for joining us. Sorry, no Spenny. Spenny's at dinner. It's in LA. I think Taylor is doing something probably with work, but we needed to come on and unpack this 3 out of 4. So we got the OG crew with it. So again, we thank everyone for popping in, commenting. We see you all. Shout out to Jimmy's Famous Seafood as always. For lunch tomorrow. Jojo has off school, and I was like, "What do you want to do tomorrow?" And she was like, "Jimmy's." And I was like, "Twist my arm, all right, like, sure." So thank you to and our new one, Clipper City Harbor Company. Shout out our guy Sam. Yeah, he's been doing some good stuff. And Spenny has, I forget what he called it, his new segment he had. But again, we appreciate everyone for joining us. Quick, nice little 40 minutes on a Thursday night. Go enjoy. What game do I have on? Cleveland and Houston. And then there's a bunch of basketball and some Chell being played too. So we thank you all. We'll see you this weekend after hopefully another Orioles series win. Thank you. And I guess we're signing out.